When most people go to sell their home, they might even be making mistakes that they don't even realize, and it's going to cost them thousands of dollars. And today I'm going to go over in this video some of the most common mistakes that I see as a buyer and seller of homes frequently. If you're new to the channel, if we're just meeting, welcome. My name is John Cummings. I'm with Dad Life Property Solutions. And me, my wife, my 4 kids, we go all across the Lehigh Valley and we're buying and selling homes, fixing, flipping them, renting them. But mostly we're here to help you, the homeowner, to answer your questions, to try and help your situation, whatever the case may be, whether it's working with us, not working with us. We will always be truthful and try to point you in the proper direction. And today is an important topic. It's mistakes that you can make when you're selling. And trust me, I made a lot of mistakes when I go to sell homes. And when I go to buy homes, I've learned through experience on some of the things that you can and can't do and should and shouldn't do. And we're gonna go over them today. The first mistake that I see a lot of is overpricing the home. And this mistake is made so frequently, especially in the market that we've been in, where you could just get your home up for whatever price you want. People would be bidding on it. But that has slowed up some, and it's gotten a lot more realistic, especially in the past year and a half that I see. And I actually start to see homes sitting on the market now. One of the reasons is because they've just priced it too high. And whether they got that idea from their agent, whether it's just their own belief, whatever the case may be, you don't want to price your home too high. And that's a little contrary to what you would think, because you want to get the highest price for your home if you're listing it. The problem with that, and trust me, I think about this all the time when I'm looking at what am I going to end up selling a home for when I take on a project. And I always look, what's the minimum I'm willing to accept when I am going to purchase a home? Because at the end of the day, I'm likely going to be selling it. So what's the minimum that I want? That's the number I need, and that's what I want. And that's what I expect also. I don't expect to go any higher than that minimum. And that's my realistic, where is it going to be? And you should have that number in mind. Like, realistically, what do I want or need to walk away with and to list this at for me to be happy? And then you treat everything else as bonus that you get. But you have to have that anchor, and it has to be a realistic anchor. One of the reasons that's important is because when you list your home, way above what it is, it's going to sit on the market. And in the market we've been in, if you're over, I think the average days of market here in Lehigh Valley is like 18 days. If you're above 18 days, 20 days, 30 days, people are going to stop coming to see your home. Your buyer pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and people stop coming, and then it's on longer. It's a snowball effect. And why is that important? The house may be perfectly fine. There may be nothing wrong, but guess what they're going to ask? They're going to look and say, oh, something's wrong with that house. It's been sitting in this market. Nothing's sitting. How is this house sitting? And it could literally just be because it's priced too high, and you could be talking maybe 10 to 20,000 too high, and it's just sitting there. And it's horrible. I hate when people do that. They list too high, and then it just sits there, and then they wonder, why is it sitting here? And it could be a mistake by the seller, it could be a mistake by the agent, but ultimately there's a disconnect there. So you should always have that minimum price that you want or need, and that should be the expectation, with everything else being bonus. That's how we do it as professionals, and I would highly recommend that's how you do it as well. The second mistake I see homeowners make is ignoring condition. The condition doesn't just mean like your roof's falling apart or your HVAC is old. It's basic stuff like, do you have updated bathrooms? Is your yard well kept? Do you have new lighting? This is a place we just did. We always put in new lighting. We make it bright. We make it look nice. Does it need to be painted? So these are small things that could make a big difference, accomplished with minimal cost and effort. You could paint yourself for, I don't know, probably $1,000, and it makes a big difference. It makes it bright, and it's you're showcasing your home when you sell it, right? So you want to do those little things, of course. The curb appeal actually does matter. You want to make sure you cut your grass. I've had agents, good agents, right? These are the good ones versus the bad ones, right? I've had good agents, condos or row homes, and they'll go to the neighbor and make sure that they'll actually pay them to do cleanup so that their neighbors are in an orderly fashion, because those are the things that people look for when they're buying a home. So that's a big mistake for number 2 that I see, is overlooking the condition of the property and just not fixing some of the little things. So the third mistake I see when people are selling their home is that they're only focused on the price. And the price is important, don't get me wrong. Obviously, that's why you're selling your home. That's one of the biggest factors, is you want to know what you're getting for home. Maybe you're buying a home and you need a specific amount of money. You got to know what that number is. And again, set that anchor and that expectation early so that you understand what you're going to be walking away from. You just have to understand that. When you're looking at only price, kind of blinded to some of the things that you can do. And that's going to take me to mistake number 4, which is that you have a lot of options when selling your home, and just focusing on a traditional sale isn't always the best option. If you're only focused on price and you need the highest and best price, then yeah, obviously you want to list and you want to take care of all the little things and you want to make sure that it's the best property that can be on the market. That's what you're going to want to do. But I come into contact with sellers all the time, and ones that have absolutely nothing wrong with their property, that they could just list as they want it, but they're going to have to deal with things like they're going to have to deal with an agent, they're going to have to deal with showings, they're going to have to deal with a timeline that might not work for them. If they have dogs, they have pets, those pets and those dogs are going to have to be boarded up, caged, or whatever the case may be during that time throughout showings. And not everybody wants to do that. There's a lot of variables when buying and selling homes, and just selling traditionally isn't always what's best for you. You obviously could sell someone like me. You could sell her with a cash offer. You could sell her finance. You could have rent to own. You don't even need to use me or anybody else. And there's a lot of options out there that you could explore, at least before going down the traditional path. And I definitely encourage you to do that. If you have questions about some of these different options, these different paths, or if you're going to sell traditionally, but you just want to make sure that your home is on the top end, feel free to give us a call. We will 100% guide you down the proper path, whether you work with us or not. And if you decide to list your home on the market, we're going to give you the best chance to doing that and get the highest and best price just by having a conversation. 20-minute conversation could probably save you $10,000 to $20,000. Feel free to reach out. All of my information is in the description below. Again, I'm John with Dad Life Property Solutions, and I hope to talk to you soon.